Hello, my name is Michael O'Keefe, aka The Movie List. If you enjoy this interview and want to hear more top-notch film industry conversations, please press the thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell to stay in the know. Hello, Noah Hutton. Please give my audience a pitch for your movie, Lapsis.
Well, Lapsis is a parallel present sci-fi story, so it's neither set nor in the future nor in the past. But I think people will recognize some elements of the world around us right now in it. It imagines a world where quantum computing is booming and all this new infrastructure work needs to be done in the forest. So that means that the gig economy has reached its tendrils into this new work, and people are going out to try to make a fistful of cash, pulling cable through miles of forest and connecting these quantum transistors that have been built. Now they start to compete with automated robots out there, and then there's a case of mistaken identity where our hero is mistaken for someone else, and that kind of leads to the drama that sweeps us into the rest of the film.
So I felt like this movie is like a cozier version of The Lobster. What is your response to that?
I think I'll take it as a compliment to some degree, because The Lobster was unsettling. So maybe people will like the high concept feeling of The Lobster, but they can cozy up with the blanket on their couch. I don't know what cozy means to people, but I like it.
I think it really comes down to your lead actor, Dean Imperial. And tell me about your lead actor and 70s gangster lookalike, and why he ultimately becomes so lovable in this movie. Because I think that's what makes it that, like I said, the cozier version.
Yeah, Dean Imperial is a playwright who I've been friends with in New York City, who came to New York as an actor like a decade ago. And then after that really didn't work out, he got into playwriting. And so I always thought, though, that he had this leading man energy. And I kind of think he looks like a combination of a lot of actors people know, like James Gandolfini. He's got kind of a Ryan Reynolds thing going on, too. But he does have this like 70s mobster vibe, which is in the movie. Someone comments on that, but that really is Dean Imperial, the man in real life. I hope that he is in many more movies soon. He's really like the everyman hero, I think, that's perfect for a sci-fi movie like this. You can really just follow him and his journey and not worry so much that you're not like understanding something or the science isn't clicking for you like it is for the genius central character. No, Ray, the character of Lapsis, is one of us, and we follow him on his journey into this crazy world of cabling.
He's as if James Gandolfini ate Ryan Reynolds.
I like that. Yeah.
Thank you. I found him when I was watching the movie. I think about halfway through, or maybe even earlier, I was thinking to myself, who the hell is this guy, and why haven't I seen him in other movies? So I kind of whipped out the phone, went on IMDb, and it was pretty empty.
Yeah, nothing. He's been one short film like 10 years ago, and then has not acted since then. I saw him at a reading in New York where he like just had to fill in for someone because someone wasn't there, and I just thought, and then everyone around him in his life thinks that he's a great actor, but he's not going for it. So I don't know. You hear these stories, and I hope one thing leads to another with this movie, and Dean has a renaissance of like becoming a leading man now, because I think people will love him. I mean, they have already. People are dying for him in this movie.
I would love to see that, but I would also love to not see that and let the mystique live on.
I like that. One roll and then gone. There's something about that too, like ride into the sunset.
Exactly. So give me an overview of your writing process for this film, specifically from concept to treatment to finished first draft.
I wrote this film in like January 2018, I believe, is when I wrote the first draft of this. I just sat down. I had the story in my head for a while, and I wrote it out like a 2-page prose treatment version of it, just the story as if I was telling you the full story of the film. And then I wrote down, and for a month, I didn't take any other gigs. I normally work as like a freelancer, independent contractor myself, and I do a lot of editing work and videography, whatever. And that's how I've been supporting myself for like all through my 20s. So I eventually just sat down for a month, didn't take any other gigs, and just wrote a first draft. And then I had to start working again. But just to get a first draft done was the thing, like a non-judgmental, what is this crazy world? Let me just get it onto a way too long draft, like 150, 160 pages. And then it was just drafting and letting the ideas that were the ones that should stay, and then cutting out everything else. And eventually we get to a shooting script that is very close to the film that was made. There was not a lot of room for improvisation, mostly because we were trying to stretch our low budget as far as it would go. So we were packing our days with scenes and different setups, and we didn't have a lot of room to just like keep going and doing lots of takes and trying stuff out. We were really trying to shoot our exact script.
I guess the advantage for this movie was that it did have a lot of thinking behind the screenplay, and you had thought that all out. So it was like a fully realized world, so you don't need to like really riff on it.
That's right. That was what we tried to spend more. We tried to front load the process with working, ironing out the concepts, the rules of the world, the cause and effect. Like, why are these people doing this? What happens? And there's a lot that we talked out and thought out that never even makes it into the film. That it maybe got cut from the script at one point, but even maybe never was in the script. But I just think that sci-fi has a depth to it when the creators of it have spent more time ironing out the rest of the world that's not inside the frame, so that you as the audience can kind of relax into this tip of the iceberg you're seeing of this world, and yet feel like there's all this rest of it that is there that you could mine if you wanted to.
So tell me about common questions you got from the actors, because I'm sure they were amused, but probably a little confused as well with the material.
Absolutely. There were some principal cast members who came onto set going like, I don't understand what is going on. Yeah. And that was fun. But for me as a first time writer director, I was also, when I had seasoned actors who had been on TV shows and coming onto set and going like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
It gave me a little pause. I also was figuring it out a little bit as I went too. So, I would talk it out. I would explain the best I can answer their question and project that I knew, but you don't know a lot of the time exactly how it's going to translate. And some scenes that I, was sure would make sense, got cut from the film, or other scenes that I hadn't even thought would be that important were elevated. And so the film kind of gets written originally it gets written while you're making it, and then certainly gets written again while you're editing it. And I really felt that, come to life as I was working through each of those stages.
Well, I saw a little behind the scenes thing on Twin Peaks: The Return, and David Lynch is directing his actors. And at one point, Jim Belushi says, "Just so you know, I have no idea what's going on right now." And then Kyle MacLachlan says, "Oh, I haven't known for 30 years." So maybe it's not the worst thing in the world to confuse your actors.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. I think like there should at least be a shared sense of what the movie is about, maybe. Right. But you don't need. But like the logic of a scene, yeah, sure. I mean, that could be interesting. You can use that,
Mm-hmm. Most certainly. So do you ever think about maybe like writing a script like this and then just like tossing it to another director, just kind of like do a weird thing and then let somebody else figure it out? Does that ever cross your mind?
I haven't thought of that yet, just because I only write at imagining myself to have made this movie, and I've just written another script now that I hope to make next, and I don't really have any interest in writing for someone else to direct, but who knows, things might change and that might become more interesting. I'm not really, I guess the answer to that really is that I'm not interested enough in the writing, in the process of writing, to just do that and never get to actually direct it. It's only fun to me to imagine getting to make the scene that I'm writing. If I handed it off, I think I would start to get sullen and depressed about not being able to shoot that scene.
Okay, fair enough. So when were you notified that the movie would not have a physical audience at South by Southwest? And what was the feeling you experienced?
Well, that was, if people remember, I don't know, there's been so much that has been canceled and changed this last year that I don't know that even sticks out to people anymore, that South by Southwest was canceled. But for us at the time, it was seismic, because we were expecting to have our world premiere in the narrative feature competition at South by Southwest, and it was everything, for a small movie like this too, to get that platform was going to be huge for us. So we found out I found out on the phone in the parking lot of a grocery store like a week before South by Southwest. We knew it might be coming, but I was going to get groceries and I got the call that it was done. It was all over. So that was I was shocked and disappointed, but it also was right in the this was March, early March, and it was right in that up curve here in New York of, my God, like the whole thing is shutting down. So whatever disappointment I had had to be temporary, because I was seeing that this was part of this tidal wave that was coming that was going to affect everybody. And my indie movie premiere was certainly the least of the problem, over the next few weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, it was big news within the bubble, I guess,
Yeah.
because then it was like, oh, I guess film festivals are a thing of the past, or what's going on.
Yeah, no, and there were a lot of other, filmmakers that who were going to South by Southwest with their films who immediately were, responding to the festival, cancel the news of it, saying it's an overreaction. It's not that. Let's just do it. Let's and in retrospect, it's like, well, yeah, right. Yeah, but it was.
I was in Berlin before. Little did I know that would be like the last like major festival of, who knows when.
Yeah, that was it. That was the last one.
Yeah,
and they've tried to, I think Venice tried to do some in-person stuff this year in Toronto.
Yeah,
it's been difficult for anyone to
scale down, like not the same sort of thing. Yeah.
So we've done a whole entire virtual film festival tour. Many other films that were in the same boat as us decided to hold their films and have not, gone to other festivals or certainly got, planned to release. So we decided to go full steam ahead because we got some good press around South by Southwest, good reviews. So we made the most of that, and we had a nice festival run. And now it's, coming out on February 12th. So I'm excited that, although I will say it is weird to have never seen the film in a theater with an audience. That's like, that's your real test when you've edited the film, you've color corrected it, you've done all your things, and then you have that first time where strangers are in a room together watching it. That's really the moment for a filmmaker. We have not had that, so that's strange, and I hope that one day to be able to have that with this film.
Most certainly. Do you think that like the festival circuit will go back to how it was, or do you think studios realize that it was sort of a congested way to do business to begin with?
It's a great question. I think they will never go back to exactly how they were. I think there's going to be so much that's done remotely now that didn't have to be done in person. But boy, I really hope that they come back to some degree so that that audiences do go back to festivals, because I think filmmakers need that first hit of an audience seeing the movie in a theater. I think there's just nothing like it. And I can just say from firsthand experience this year, knowing that the film is premiering at the mill, having its West Coast premiere at whatever film festival, or going to this place in the world, and then all I can do is essentially just track whatever fragments I can find online about various reaction, whether it's on Letterboxd or elsewhere, like whatever. I'm just like desperate to know.
Yeah,
it's just like that's what's replaced the feeling, the emotional feeling of being around people who you don't know in a room together. That I really hope that comes back.
And I'm coming from Canada. This movie played at Fantasia, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a great time at Fantasia, and it's a wonderful festival. I hadn't really known much about it before, but we loved seeing the other films there, and the audience participation, and also like so many critics and a wonderful like coming together of the genre space. So I really enjoyed it.
What's great about it, in the pre-COVID days, is the sheer length of the festival. It's 3 weeks.
Wow, yeah, that's amazing. You can really stretch out and see everything.
Yeah, you can see a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So, so this is your first feature film.
Yeah.
You did. What were you doing as a videographer before?
I came from documentary mostly. I did 2 documentary features before this. So
okay, right.
I had been doing. I've been doing like freelance, editing and videography to support myself in New York.
Got it.
But my work, like I've done 2 independent doc features about the oil boom in North Dakota.
Oh my God.
And so I've spent a lot of time up there around the town of Stanley and Minot and in the Bakken oil play, as they call it. So I come from that, which is pretty different than making this film. That work was really done like with one or two other people, but mostly solitary work. So making this film was super collaborative and a big change of pace. But yeah, I think what prepared me maybe most for this was like getting into commercial directing with some bigger crews, and just feeling the collaborative environment. Not that commercials are the best place for collaboration, but at least you're working with more people.
Would you say there's some tangential connection between your documentary work and this thing? Like what makes you an auteur? What are the underlying elements that make you, I don't know, Stanley Kubrick?
Well, my God, I don't know about that. I think that I think that the common interest in the documentary work in this for me was the way in which a big technological boom or some big seismic shift in technology affects the working class. So in North Dakota, that meant that how is fracking actually affecting working people on the ground in North Dakota? So the film was not so much involved with the environmental effects, let's say, of the oil boom, which is a very worthwhile subject that other films have explored. But I was doing more of like a sociological study of the people in the small town, how it's changing their lives, the people coming in from out of state. And so I think that kind of like the flow of cultures of working people and small town change and those kind of forces, I think, trickled into Lapsis. Like this is really about like migrant workers coming in and out of the forest. And I think there was some common concern about how a technological boom affects working people.
Wow. So what do you think of what do you think about that? Like the rise of populism in like 2 minutes, and like automation and outsourcing, and maybe the things that led to the popularity of people like Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders. Is Joe Biden just gonna lead the trail towards another character like that in the future? Is America going to hell? Tell me all this in 30 seconds.
Yeah, I love it. I love saving this one for last.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Well, I have to say that I think what I'm most interested in those forces you've described is people are often very afraid of how technology is going to take jobs away from people. And my point in Lapsis, to a degree, and people can take what they want from the movie, is that it's not so much that the robots or the automation are the problem themselves. It's the income inequality between who's getting the profits from all of this. So in this world, the corporate overlords of this world are reaping the profits from automation. If that was distributed more equitably, the people themselves, if these companies, for example, were worker owned, the people would probably be seeing a greater share. So you can have automation with worker owned companies, and I think you could see a different balance of power. And to answer your question, I think we wouldn't see as much populist rage against politicians who really are working for their corporate donors more than they are the working person. So that balance of power, I'm not so confident is going to shift in the Biden administration. I think we're really talking about an administration that is beholden to corporate donors, and I would like to be proved wrong about that. So the populists, and I don't want to equate populism on the left and right, because I think they're significantly different. And the film offers a point of view where people coming together and to take collective action and unionize is one way to fight against that income inequality.
Funky. Who are some of your favorite current directors?
I love Leos Carré, who made the one of the great movies of our last decade, I think, Holy Motors.
Oh yeah, great movie.
He's one of my favorites around. I love Charlie Kaufman.
Yeah.
And I really like Jonathan Glazer. I loved Under the Skin and Sexy Beast, and
Sexy Beast. Oh, I love Sexy Beast.
And I also really like Birth, which was a weird movie, but cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Noah, thank you for your time. Do you have a final thought you would like to end this interview with?
Do I have a final thought? I just want to say thank you. The great questions. It was a pleasure talking to you. I hope that people enjoy the film. They can check it out on February 12th.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.